on my part, there were some technical issues and they were trying to fix it. And because of that, we got delayed. Last week, I did the payment methods. We finished 2 payment methods. That's open account and advance payment. And third one, I did halfway through. That is documentary collection. And I told you one of the another important area, they have misplaced this, what do you call this, presentation, and I couldn't do that, right? So what I thought was, I'll try to finish this one as quickly as possible and then move on to where we have stopped the documentary collection, right? Actually, before we do the payment methods, I was planning to do the documents used in import and export procedures. In other classes, that's the way I did it. But last week also they had an issue and your time got wasted. Today also, another waste. Okay. Documents used in import and export procedures, right? When it comes to international trade, and when I asked you the last week, how many people, are there any people working in international trade department? Answer was negative, right? But anyway, just for your information, you should know at least, you should have a basic knowledge about the documents used in international trade operations, right? When you take the documents used in international trade operations, we can categorize into 4 or 5 categories. The first one is a financial document. Under financial documents, we can list out bills of exchange and promissory notes. Under commercial documents, it comes commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, and inspection certificate. Then comes the insurance document. Insurance is also very important. It plays a major role in international trade operations because goods are moving from one country to the other. During the voyage, anything can happen. Therefore, insurance is a must. So insurance documents also, we have to have some idea. Then transport documents. Transportation, if it is under sea transportation, we get bill of lading. If it is air cargo, then airway bill. If it is by truck consignment note, like that. Transport documents also part and parcel of international trade operations. Extent of the applicability of English law to the law related to bill of exchange and banking in Sri Lanka, right? The bill of exchange law applicable even now is the Bill of Exchange Act 1882 of UK, right? It was came from Civil Law Ordinance number 5 of 1852. 1852 කියන්නේ සුද්දගේ කාලේ නේද? කෝපි කාලේ. කෝපි කාලේ ඉඳන් තාම ඉන්නේ ඔය 1882 UK Act, Bill of Exchange Act, right? English common law related to this Bill of Exchange was codified and assumed the shape of Bill of Exchange Act applicable in Sri Lanka. From how it was applicable in UK, it was codified and amended to the needs of Sri Lanka. Not Sri Lanka those days, it was Ceylon, right? And this particular Bill of Exchange ordinance, which was under 1882 UK ordinance, was first introduced, and then first introduced in as number 25 of 1927, right? Governs the law related to bill of exchange, checks, bankers' draft, and promissory notes in Ceylon. Then this was amended by Bill of Exchange Act number 5 of 1955, right? It was amended, and again this was amended by Act number 25 of 1957 and Act number 30 of 1961. 1961. And from the Act number 30 of 1961, which enables people to sign and endorse checks in Sinhala and Tamil language. Earlier it was only in English, right? As I said, Bill of Exchange Act 1882 UK, right? That's the grandparents of Bill of Exchange Act in Sri Lanka. If you give the definition, of Bill of Exchange, a Bill of Exchange is an unconditional order in writing. Unconditional order in writing. There's no conditions, no strings, nothing, right? Then addressed by one person, the drawer. Drawer is the guy who is producing the Bill of Exchange in the international trade operation. Who is the drawer? Buyer or seller?
Seller.
Seller. Seller is the drawer. Seller is the drawer, right? To another, drawee. Drawee is the buyer. Drawee is the buyer. Signed by the drawer. When he is issuing the Bill of Exchange, he has to write and sign. It is like a check. Even normal checks are coming under Bill of Exchange Act 1882 UK, right? Even a normal check is also written and signed by the issuer, right? Then requiring the person to whom it is addressed, drawee, to pay on demand or at a fixed or determinable future date. Either on demand or determinable future date. Now, isn't it similar to a check? If you put today's date and sign the check and give it to a customer, give it to one of your parties, right? He can produce at any date before the check is getting, stale. He can produce it and get the money any date. But if that guy has signed the check by putting 30th July, the date is 30th July. Now the 30th July, it says you have to, it's a fixed determinable date, right? Then you have to put the, you have to do the payment only on 30th July. Before that, you can't, right? The same here. If you say to pay in 22nd October, then it has to be 22nd October, right? Fixed or determinable future date. A certain sum in money. Checks also, if you say 10,000 rupees, 10,000 words and figures. Here also same, right? To the order of the specified person, pay, or to the bearer, just like a check, right? Now, this is a sample of side bill of exchange. Side bill of exchange means you can pay at any date. At site, you have to pay, right? You see, the issuing date was 30th June. Exact sum US dollars 10,000. US dollars 10,000 in figures as well as in words. The sum of United States dollars 10,000 only. Right? Issued by United Exports, that's a drawer. And obviously signature is not there, but signature should be there. Then ABC Bank is a drawee. Right? Okay. If it is a fixed determinable date, payable at a future date, then here 30th June issuance date. When they want us to pay? On 28th October. On 28th October. Pay this first of exchange. On 28th October. To the order of ourselves, a sum of United States dollars 10,000 only. Correct? Okay, fine. Any questions? Any questions? Uganda, South Balagan. A bill of exchange or a draft is a written order by the drawer to the drawee to pay money to the payee. Right? Okay. Any questions? If you don't have questions, then I'm going to the next article, next document. Proforma invoice. Proforma invoice. Proforma invoice is a advance. It's a estimated invoice. It's a estimated invoice. Last week I did with you. We talk about the contracts, isn't it? We talk about sales contract. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. When sales contract is signed between two parties, who are they? Sales contract is signed between two parties. Who are they?
Buyer and seller.
Buyer and seller. I think ඕක කියන්න buyer. Buyer කියලා කියන්න බයයි. නේද? බැංකර්ස්ලා නම් බය වෙන්න එපා. Right? එතකොට based on the details in the contract, we prepare pro forma invoice. Based on the details in the sales contract, we prepare the pro forma invoice. The pro forma invoice is only an estimated invoice, not the final invoice. Right? So we want to get down, say, to gain up to her appear to we have a pro forma invoice. 5 5 Toyota Toyota बनाओ जाते क्या न बन वाहन की जाते मतलब बात ये लगाने में
Hilux.
Huh? What is that today? पाविච්චි කරන එකක් ගමන් නැහැ කියන්නේ. Toyota කොයි ආරිස් කියලා තියෙනවා තාම නාරේ අපි Toyota Yaris කරන්න computer ආවේ. Toyota Yaris, right? 5 Toyota Yaris cars, right? Then we give the amount, right? $1 US dollars, 10,000 per unit. US dollars 10,000 per unit. Then per unit, full amount US dollars 50,000. Right? Value US dollars 50,000. Then we have to give the details of goods. 2 black color and 3 gray color vehicles, right? And it has to be coming from Nagoya, Japan. Shipment from Nagoya, Japan. Shipment from Nagoya, Japan. Shipment to Hambantota Port. Hambantota Port, Colombo, Sri Lanka. Hambantota Port, Sri Lanka. Like that, we will give brief description. The naked details of goods we are not going to insert. We are not going to insert what do you call this? What are the components you want? AC, stereo setup, and all those things. Contract attachment. So these are the basic things, And this value is an estimated value. US dollars 50,000. 10,000 per unit. Right? Then transport cost has to be added to this. Transport cost. Right? Transport cost. US dollars 5,000. Right? Here we add කරලා අපි මේකට දානවා. Right? මේක දෙක දානවා. US dollars 55 විතරයි නේද? Transport cost and මේකට දානවා. These are the basic things. But when it comes to the final one, this can be changed. Exactly here we have put some estimation value of $10,000 per unit. It can be changed. Even the transport cost can be changed. The final invoice is a commission invoice. And this is not a demand. Performer is not a demand. Performer is only a picture. Right? It notes the kind and the quantity of the goods, their value, and their another important information such as weight, transportation charges, and all those things. Right? Proforma invoice are commonly used as the basic initial invoices with a quotation for custom purposes in importation. Right? And it is not a demand or request for payment. It's only a normal brief description of what sort of goods you are going to get down. Right? Not the exact amount. Anything you want me to add? Or if you have any questions, please ask me. Please ask me. Without the pro forma invoice, you can't open LCs or you can't get down anything, right? Even to send money on advance payment or any other thing, you have to get a pro forma invoice, right? The commercial invoice is the full invoice which has been completed by the exporter or the seller, right? With the details of actually what has shipped, actual shipment. Estimate, this is the actual shipment, right? And you can call it in many many terms. They will say commercial invoice, tax invoice, final invoice, but everything comes to one commercial invoice. Right? And it's a legal document between the supplier and the buyer that clearly describe the sold goods. Right? Then this is the one of the main documents used by customs in determining the customs duties. Customs duties will be charged on the commercial invoice, not on pro forma. Pro forma garanganne, right? But that's only estimation. And if the commercial invoice are combined with certificate of origin, then we call it combined invoice. Some countries, they have concealed invoices. Concealed invoices. In the exporting country of the the consulate of import country provides a specially printed invoice, right? Specially printed invoice, which is completed by the exporter and presented to the consul for stamping and signature. The consular invoice is a specially prepared invoice, which the exporter has to fill and then present it to the consul for stamping and signature. Right? Then comes the legalized invoices. Another one. Legalized invoices is, in sometimes, this then consular invoice එකට තව example එකක් මට කිව්වොත් එහෙම ඔයගලන්ට ඔළුවට ගන්න. Okay. Now the previous pro forma invoice. Previous pro forma invoice. What is that is for import of 5 Toyota Yaris cars. The same thing. Now we are preparing the commercial invoice and say LC requirement to produce a consular invoice. Consular invoice, the same thing. But the consular department, consular of Sri Lankan consular in Nagoya has to endorse this invoice. Right? There, when they take the commercial, consular invoice, the Sri Lankan consulate at Nagoya, they don't want to put their confirmation on that. They don't want to put their confirmation on that consular invoice. Why? Because the consular department or the trade department, trade attaché of the consulate, trade attaché of the consulate, he knows that Sri Lankan government has put a ban on importing vehicles to Sri Lanka. That is his job, right? So because of that, he knows that you can't send vehicles to Sri Lanka. Then he will say, no, you can't. They will not entertain these things. They will confiscate the vehicles if you sell, right? Therefore, we can't sign. You got my point, right? That is what you call consider invoice. Sign karana, no issue. Sign karana, no issue, right? For that, they will be charging a small amount. Then, legalized invoice. Legalized invoice is the exporter's usual commercial invoice, but it is duly validated by the consul of the country of destination. Consul of the country of the destination. Okay, for example, when I was working in Dubai, I have seen this very often. They are using this as a revenue media to get more money to their consular officers. Right? In Dubai, what they say is every import to Dubai has to be legalized. Every import to be Dubai has to have a legalized document, a commercial invoice, legalized commercial invoice. Right? එතකොට වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? Dubai වලට එන home invoices from Japan, Korea, Australia, Sri Lanka, India, Philippines, right? Singapore, we have going out. These invoices has to be legalized. Legalized by the respective Consul General departments of respective countries. Right? We have making $50 guarantee. $50 guarantee. Legalized invoice done. On the revenue income. It's a very good revenue. Right? Okay. It's a sample of commercial invoice. Spend about 2-3 minutes at 1 minute. 1 minute. Spend over the issued by the seller, big seller. Issued by the seller, big seller. And addressed to the buyer, prime buyer. Right? Here we give the exact details of shipment. Right? Earlier it was 2000 Hancock briefcases. Here also 2000 Hancock briefcases. So, it may come down by 10-15 items. What we do is the exact amount what we have shipped, the commercial invoice, right? Okay. Can I do this here? Bill of lading, the transport document. The majority of the international trade transactions are done by sea. By sea, right? And then we have to issue a bill of lading. Bill of lading. And if it is by sea, VA. Yeah. What's the transport document? Yeah, what's the transport document?
Airway bill.
Airway bill. Right? By truck, Truck. What is the transport document? By truck, we call it TCA. Truck consignment note. Truck consignment note. Right? Then, yeah, the main lady. Lorry. Lorry he cannot. Local labor. Lorry can what done. GRN. Goods received note. Signed by the driver of the lorry. Goods received note. Right? Likewise, there are so many transport documents, out of which the many transactions are happening through C and BA. Right? Because of that, BA is a very important instrument in international trade operations. A BL is a receipt issued by the shipping company or its authorized agents for goods shipped on board a named vessel or for goods received for ship. So, bill of lading, it is a receipt issued by the shipping company or its authorized agent. When they receive the goods for shipment to put it on board or received for shipment, then they will issue the bill of lading. Right? And this is a sample of bill of lading. I don't know whether you can see it clearly. Do you know that? You know that. Place of loading, place of discharge, amount, everything is there, right? And when what do you call this? Consignor or the shipper, it is issued when they issued a bill of lading, it has to be acceptable by the buyer. It has to be acceptable by the buyer. And because of that, carry an onboard notation to show actual date of shipment. BLK, onboard notation. When it was boarded, right? On board. On board notation, right? When they have loaded the consignment, the ship. Okay. Sometimes this onboard notation is in small print. And never mind. If it is there, then we are okay. Right? Then cleaned. Be clean, having no notation by the shipping company to the effect that goods packaging are damaged. Right? The BL should be a clean BL. Clean BL means no damages to the goods. Right? For example, in the BL, to transport oil barrels. Oil barrels. oil barrels. Out of oil barrels, out of 50 oil barrels, 4 are leaking. 4 are leaking. 4 are leaking. දැන් මෙතන මේ ලීක් වෙන එක අපි අන්නෝටිස් කරලා හරියන ලංකාවට එනකොට මුකුත් නැහැ. ඔක්කොම ලීක් කරලා ඉවරයි. right? ඒකෙන්ද අපි මේකට අපි බීල් එකෙන්ම දානවා who are leaking. So that's at a glance we know this is a not a clean bill of lading. Not a clean bill of lading. There are some packages broken and 4 cartons are leaking. Okay. The main parties involved in a bill of exchange, bill of lading, main parties involved in bill of lading are the shipper. Shipper is the seller, the shipper, the person who sends the goods. Then consignee. Consignee, the person who takes delivery of the goods. Either you can consign to a party or you can consign to a bank. Right? You can consign to a bank. Then notify party. Then in case if something happens, you have to notify this particular party. Then carrier. The persons or company who has concluded a contract with the shipper for conveyance as, right? That's a carrier. The person or company who has concluded a contract with the shipper for conveyance of goods. Multimodal transport document is if the transport is in more than two modes, then we use it multimodal transport documents. I'm not going to go into details of these things because we are going to discuss these matters in more detail in time to come. Right? But at least you should know this terminology. What is multimodal, clean BL, all these things, you have to have some idea. Multimodal in the sense is something like this. In Europe, we have Germany. Right? Then we'll see adjoining, you get Belgium. Right? Then we have to get Sri Lanka. We want to get down to heavy equipment from Belgium. So these people had to load it because they don't have a port. Belgium, no port. They have to load it and send it to Germany. Crossing the border. Crossing the border. May can first can truck consignment note. Truck consignment note, TCA. Right? Then we have Metindi Apino Varayaki, whatever I ship. Then we get BL. Truck consignment note and the BL. Right? The main takeaway we call it multimodal transport. Multimodal transport. More than one mode of transport. more than one mode of transport. Right? This we call multimodal transport document. CMR document is if the transportation is by trucks or overland and on, the document we issue is CMR. Then the insurance documents, right? Insurance document. That's also plays a major role. Insurance. Why? Why insurance? ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. Why insurance document? Why we need insurance documents? කියන්නකෝ ටක් ගාලා. The morning I had another session. පට ගාලා ළමයි උත්තර දෙන්නේ. From 8:30 to 12:30 I was having another class. Prompt. Why we need insurance documents in international trade?
Because goods can get lost in transit.
Yeah.
Damages.
Then
Theft.
Piracy. Anything can happen. The goods can be pirated during the voyage. Pearl Express එකේ ආව නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? If the goods have come in Pearl Express. What is Pearl Express? Sorry, Pearl Express, right? Express Pearl. What is Express Pearl? No idea. පෞගේ දවස්වල මොකද කළේ? ගෙදර අහරගෙන සිටියේ බුද්ධිගෙන සිටියේ. What is Express Pearl? Come on, children.
Cargo freight that caught fire within the boundaries of Sri Lanka.
There you are. What's your name?
Crystal.
Huh?
Crystal.
Crystal. Which bank, Crystal?
HNB.
HNB.
Yes.
Which department you are working for?
I'm just on contract basis. I'm at the head office branch, sir. Just on contract basis.
On contract basis, right. Okay. So, see, a new girl, contract basis, answering. Others should be shamed, right? Okay. Then, entire cargo was well insured. I think there were about 50 or 80 consignments to Sri Lanka, containers to be unloaded in Sri Lanka. All got washed over. අපි කිව්වද ඒගොල්ලන්ට ගිහිල්ලා අන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ කන්ටේනර් එක ඒ මිනිස්සු ගියාද? මම ටීවී එකේ මම දැක්කේ නැහැ. ඒ දවස් ටිකේම පෙන්නුවා. මම කවදාකවත් දැක්කේ නැහැ ටීවී එකේ ගිහිල්ලා මේ අර කන්ටේනර්ස් වල දැන් අපේ බයස්ලා ගිහිල්ලා මත්තල මේ හැන්දල පැත්තේ එහෙම නැත්නම් පානදුරේ බීච් එකටලා බලන් හිටියද අපේ කන්ටේනර් එක දැන් එනකන් දැන් එයි කන්ටේනර් එක දැන් ඔය ඉන්නේ අර ඉන්නේ අපේ එක නෙමේ අල්ලපු මගේ යාළුවාගේ එක එහෙම කිය හිටියද ඒගොල්ලෝ කවුරුත් නෑ ඒ කන්ටේනර්ස් වල බොට්ටුවක් බාගත්තේ නිකම් මිනිස්සු. They were not worried because all those containers were insured, properly insured. If it is properly insured, the insurance companies will pay. Right? They were sitting in their AC rooms and doing the homework. Right? How to claim and whether the insurance premiums have been duly paid and all those things. They were doing that. And because goods were insured. Right? Okay. This is a copy of the insurance certificate, right? And some more documents like packing list, weight list, right? Then beneficiary certificates, analysis certificate, inspection certificate, health certificate, phytosanitary certificates, quantity, quality, all sort of documents are there in international trade operations, right? And especially if it comes to a certificate, make sure that it has to be signed. It has to be signed. And all the married guys, right? Married guys, you know that any certificate has to be signed. The best example is your marriage certificate. Your marriage certificate has been signed by both of you and attested by another signature by the registrar. Am I correct? Right? That's your marriage certificate. Adisya api malok tiyanna? Death certificate. That is also has to be signed by the, not by the dead person. Then hunda elawa take බේරෙනවා. Marriage certificate එකෙන් ඒ දෙන්න අස්සම් කරලා අමාරු වැටෙන්නේ. අස්සම් කරලා අමාරු වැටලා ඒක හරි. දැන් මේ එක්කෙනෙක් මලාට පස්සේ මරිච්ච මිනිහා හිත අස්සම් කරන්නේ නැහැ. Registrar has to confirm. But there should be a signature. Without the signature, no certificate is valid. Right? It's a must. Like that, there are so many certificates and documents you can see in the international trade operations. Another one is the certificate of origin. What is certificate of origin? Where the actual product has been manufactured in which country is important. Right? For example, take an example, Nokia phones. Nokia phones. What is the original? If you want to buy an original Nokia phone, the certificate of origin has to be issued by which country? Original Nokia phone?
Hungary. Hungary. Hungary.
Sorry?
Hungary.
Yeah, Hungarian also original.
Finland.
Finland, very good. Finland, original, right? Apart from that, there are so many countries produce or manufacture under license. They manufacture Nokia phones. China, Malaysia, Taiwan, then India, even Dubai, they manufacture, right? But we don't treat it as Nokia, original Nokia. The අපිට Nokia, තව Nokia කොච්චර හදනවද දන්නේ නැහැ නේද? ඔයගලන්ට අපිට Nokia කියන්නේ නැතුව හදනවද දන්නේ නැහැ මෙච්චර. But anyway, if you want to buy a original one, then it has to be, you have to get a certificate of origin from either Korea, either Finland or Hungary, right? This is a common certificate of origin. Normally, it is issued by the Chamber of Commerce, right? Or in some countries, some European countries, they have specific issuing organizations, right? Issuing entities where they sign the certificate of origin, right? Okay. Or just just to test your knowledge, who prepares the bill of exchange? Who prepares the bill of exchange?
Seller.
Seller. Yes, very good. Seller. Right? Now match the following parties in a bill of exchange. Oglobe. Tune panthi karpu. Tune panthi karpu. Crystal? ඔය ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට තුනේ පන්තියේ මේව කලානේ ඊතලේ ගහලා සමානය ව්‍යාකරණය කියලා කියන්නේ එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්. What's the name?
Drawer.
Drawer. Importer?
Drawee.
Drawee. අනිත් එක ගහලා ඩක් නැහැ නේ. ඉතුරු එක තියෙන exporters bank is payee. Right? Okay. That is about we learn about the documents seen in international trade operations. Documents seen in the international trade operations. Any questions you want to ask under this? Any questions? Please ask. Please ask. Okay, if you don't have any questions, then we'll move on to the other one. The last week, under collection, I think we did up to this place. We did up to this place. හරිද මම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගෝල් ලියාගෙන කාටද මට මතක් කරන්නේ කියලා. We have done parties to a collection. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Then today I'm going to start with the collection cycle. Collection cycle. I'll give you 2 minutes for you to study this. Number 1, 2, 3, 4 is step by step study. Right? Once you study, take a pen and piece of paper and write down the steps in order. Right? For example, step 1, agreeing commercial contract. Agreeing commercial contract. Number 2, exporter or principal will ship the goods. Will ship the goods. And number 3, and submit the documents to remitting bank. Like that, I want you guys to write the steps one by one. Right? 5 minutes ගත්තත් කමන්නේ. හැබැයි මට මේක ඔයාලා කරන්න ඕන. කළාට පස්සේ තමයි උගංග ඔළුවට එන්නේ. You can refer to this cycle and then write quickly. Start. Right. Now, we have to start with the commercial contract. We have to have a commercial contract or sales contract. Then, based on the sales contract, the exporter will ship the goods. මම දීලා තියෙන්නේ brief summary. ඔය චුට්ටක් elaborate කරලා ලියන්න. Exporter will ship the goods and submit the documents to the remitting bank. Right? Then, like an essay, you will get the full picture. Then, the remitting bank will send the documents to the presenting bank. Presenting bank is importer's bank with the instructions how to deliver the documents. And based on the instructions, if it is a site fund, site collection, then we will ask the importer to pay. So we will debit his account and then give the documents to them. They will go to the port and clear the goods with the documents. Meanwhile, we will reimburse the money to the remitting bank, and remitting bank will deduct their charges and then give the money to the balance money to the exporter. Right? For example, if you have done if the documents submitted to remitting bank is for 10,000 US dollars, by the time you receive the final payment, the exporter might receive 9,900. Right? $100, both banks will charge as their commission. Right? That is for site. If it is for product cycle for collection, usance fund, DA, documents against acceptance. Documents against acceptance. Then between the buyer and the seller, again you have the commercial contract. All those things are similar. Then when the presenting bank or collecting bank receive the documents, they will inform the importer, look, now we have received your collections documents. That is number 5, present. Present means you inform the drawee. Then the drawee will come to the bank and accept the draft because it's a DA bill, documents against acceptance. Once he accepts the draft, once he give an assurance that he will pay in a future date, then the importer will, the bank will give the documents to the importer. Number 7, right? Then he will go to the port and get the thing cleared. And on the maturity date, on the due date, on the maturity date, they will pay. Number 8. Once they pay the money, we will remit the money to remitting bank, deducting our charges, and they will also deduct their charges and pay the balance to the exporter. That is usance DA. Right? Now we'll see what are the relationship between the parties. We talk about the parties. Who are the parties? Principal, that is exporter. Then importer. අපි එක තැනක ඉඳන් යන් export එක පැත්තෙන් ඉඳන් export එක country එකේ ඉඳන් exporter. Then what is the other party in the exporter's country? Remitting bank. Oh, ළමයි ඉන්නවද නැද්ද මම දන්නේ නැහැ. There are 28 people. මට දැන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ පැන කරන් නන් ටික ලියාගෙන අද ඉඳන් අදින්නම් වැඩේ. නැත්තම් කතා කරන්නේ නැහනේ. What is this? Damn shame. Wait, මට නන් ටික මතක එක්කෙනෙක් මතකයි අද අමතක වුණා. Avanti, Anjana, Crystal, Dion Isaac. So, දවන්න අහගන්න යන්න මගෙන් මොකද කියන්නේ දැන් මෙතන නවත්තන්නද ඔයගොල්ලෝ උත්තර දෙනවද? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔක්කොම නන්ටේ කියන්නේ යන්නද? Right? Irosha, what do you say? යන්න දෙපාද? නවත්තන්නද? Right. Please talk. Manoja, Marisha, then Minuri. Please talk. This is very important. Right. principal, then the remitting bank. Then remitting bank will send the documents to which bank?
Collecting bank.
Very good. Collecting bank. Lamai. Right. Then collecting bank to
Buyer.
buyer. Good. Now we'll try to discuss about the relationships between the parties. Medula Butala, please try to open up your mouth and then please communicate with us, right? Otherwise, even we feel very, we also feeling very lethargic. I call Kadnani, answer Karani, right? Then we see attack classic in the Gana, Kineko answer no bad. Especially when it comes to online classes, when I ask you a question, you have to answer. And you have to stop me and answer, ask 1,001 questions from me. That's what I'm answer. Maawa nawattala magin questions aane ekata. Right? Again, I'm lecturing you guys, then DABF Sinhalese medium class. Right? Eka mata kenak hoyagannakan mata එක දැන් බලන්න ඕන මට වැඩි classes Sinhalese medium class, then postgraduate and diploma in trade. ඔක්කොම classes වල ළමයි කතා කරනවා. ළමයි single class එකේ ළමයි ගොඩක් අහනවා. Even you can ask any question, right? Please. Now the relationship between the parties, principal and the remitting bank. It's very, very important thing. The remitting bank acts as an agent for the principal or the exporter or seller. Right? In the whole scenario, everybody, all parties involved in international, documentary collection operations, they act as an agent for the principal. Principal is the big man, exporter. Even in a school, principal is the head. Same meaning, right? He tells the teachers what to do, how to teach. And he tells the students how to behave. Right? And if the students, if we have a laid down rules and regulations in a school, right? You all have gone to schools, right? If you deviate from the standard norms, standard procedures, what are you going to get from the principal? Principal will punish you. Principal will punish you with nothing else, right? Here also, if principal says, okay, in a school, if the principal says, during the school hours, right? Only exception is interval. During the school hours, I don't want to see anybody walking outside the classrooms. That's a rule. And all the other guys, teachers as well as students, they are agents. They have to listen to that. Right? And if they are deviating from that, repercussions, we are not responsible. Repercussions, we are not responsible. Same applies here. Principal and the remitting bank. Remitting bank acts as an agent for the principal. Right? Therefore, the remitting bank must not act outside the instructions of the principal. Right? If it acts outside the instructions given in respect of the collection, it does so on its own responsibility. On its own responsibility, and will be responsible for the principal in respect of such actions. If the principal says, deliver the documents after payment, DP, deliver the documents against payment, right? In a scenario like that, If you had delivered the documents after accepting the draft, that means you have violated the instructions given by the principal. Then it is your baby. If your customer doesn't pay on the maturity date, then you have to pay. You're responsible, right? If the remitting bank acts strictly in accordance with the instructions of the principal, then it is not responsible or liable to the principal anyway. කියන දේ අහගෙන ඉන්නවා නම් බය වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. සිංහලෙන් කියනවා නම්. Right? Okay. Then the remitting bank and the collecting bank. Normally the collecting bank is the correspondent bank of the remitting bank. So they have to have their correspondent bank relationship. Right? The collecting bank must act strictly on the instructions by the remitting bank, irrespective of its own relationship, if any, with the buyer. Right? So, in other words, Avanti, which bank you said you are working?
Commercial bank, sir.
Commercial bank. Now, the commercial bank, which department or which branch you are working?
Katukasthota branch.
Yes, I forgot that. You said Katukasthota branch. Katukasthota branch, okay. පාට කියන්න බන්න මට කියන්න බන්න ඔයගලගේ හොඳම හොඳ කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් වාගේ කස්ටමර්ගේ නම කියන්න බෑ මේ කම්පැනි එකක් කියන්න
Oyama Trading.
Right. Oyama Trading, they are banking with you?
Yes, sir.
They did banking with me also. No? Right. Okay. Oyama Trading. Now you are very well known to them. You are a personal friend. Oyama Trading guy, right? That relationship, because of that relationship, when you receive the set of documents on collection documents, where it says the remitting bank has given strict instructions to release the documents against payment. Now, Oyama guy comes to you and says, Miss, don't worry. Now I don't have money, but release these documents to me. I will sign a promissory note or I will sign the bill of exchange to pay this money after 1 month, in 30 days. In 30 days, I will pay. Right? You just release the documents to me. I can clear the goods and sell it and I can pay you. Can you do that? No. Your relationship with that guy, your customer, is immaterial. Right? What is more important is you have to act according to the instructions you got. Because you are just an agent. You are not the principal. Right? You can't take decisions. You have to do whatever you have been asked to do. Right? The collecting bank is liable to the remitting bank if it acts outside of the instructions given by the remitting bank. You see? Right? The remitting bank is liable to pay the collecting bank for any charges, expenses incurred in carrying out their instructions. Now, we have got to collect them. Oyama Trading business karadi. Your customer, as you have been instructed, you have done that. But at last, your customer says, I am not going to pay your charges, your commission. I am not going to pay. But our instructions clearly says, collect your charges from the importer. But the importer says, after collecting the goods, after collecting the documents, he said, no, I'm not going to pay you your charges. In a scenario like that, the remitting bank is liable to pay the collecting bank for any outstanding charges, right? But that will happen only if you carried out their instructions, right? It's very clear. In the collecting bank and the presenting bank, right? The presenting bank must follow the instructions given to it by collecting bank, irrespective of its own relationship with the buyer, right? Then principal and exporter, or the buyer and importer. The basic relationship is in terms of the sales contract between them, right? Okay. Then we'll see what are the main steps for each of the parties involved when it comes to the exporter, right? First, the exporter has to make inquiries about the buyer and agree on the contract with the buyer, right? Then make inquiries regarding the buyer's country, because that's also a risky thing. Agree on shipping terms. Ship the goods as requested by the buyer, right? Submit the documents to his bank with its instructions on how and when the buyer should pay. That is terms of payment. With the payment terms, you have to submit the documents to your bank, right? Remitting bank. Know your customer to ensure that it does not unwittingly get dragged into issues which could have a negative impact on its reputation. That's a classic example. You should know who your customer is, right? And if you are not happy with your customer's KYC, right? If you think that by handling this collection, you are unwittingly getting dragged into issues, then don't do it. Really, it will have a negative impact on your reputation, right? But online classes online right? නැත්නම් ලස්සට examples කීපයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔබ දාම ඔළුවේ තියෙන්න. Right? For example, if your customer is having a bad reputation for illegal activities, right? Don't get involved with those things, with those customers. Then මෙතන document එකත්, if you have a suspicion on whether it's a clean operation or not, don't get involved, right? Ensure that the exporter has given full instructions to enable the collection to be handled effectively. Exporter has given full instructions. It's very important, right? A full instructions to copy. A gunne අදත් දරනේ ඔයගලගේ ක්ලාස් එක නම් මම භාගයට යන ක්ලාස් එක. Have I discussed with you the collection order? Collection form එක මම ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක discuss කළාද? හොඳ නැද්ද?
No, sir.
No. Oh my God. Is it already uploaded to your system? Collection order form? You can check that, no? ඔගලන්ගේ සිස්ටම් එකට second week third week එකේදී upload third week නෙමෙයි second week එක upload කරලා තියනවාද? collection order form කියලා. form එක.
So it says export trade collection.
Export
Trade collection. Negotiation instructions.
right. Export collection / negotiation instructions.
Yeah. Yes.
It has been uploaded, huh?
Yeah, second week.
Second week. So they have not uploaded here. Right. Anyway, that's that particular one you can refer. Whatever the instructions to the collecting bank has to be completed, filled by the exporter, and that is the form, that is the collection order form, which will be handed over to the remitting bank along with the documents, right, with full details. You have to ensure. Then check the documents are consistent with each other. Check the documents are consistent with each other. That's what they have to check. They are not checking the documents in detail, but they have to check whether the documents are consistent with each other. For example, the Bajaj company, right? They might have submit the order is for Bajaj motorbikes. Order is for Bajaj motorbikes, right? All the documents are for Bajaj motorbikes, but the bill of lading is with some reference to Bajaj three-wheelers. So it is not consistent with each other. By mistake, they have submitted wrong BA. The customer can't clear the goods now because all the other documents are related to Bajaj motorbikes, right? 250cc motorbikes. Now, BL is for something else. So we have to check before you dispatch the documents whether the documents are consistent with each other. Send the documents to a bank in the buyer's country with instructions on collecting payment. Right? Set up internal control procedures to monitor the collection. Pay the exporter when it receives payment from the collecting bank. Pay the exporter when it receives payment from the collecting bank. Then now the relationship between the collecting bank and the presenting bank act as the remitting bank's agent and therefore should examine the correction instructions carefully. Ensure that the number of documents received is as stated in the collection instruction. One by collection order form ke uganda බලන්න පුළුවන් right hand side එකේ පැත්තකට දාලා තියෙනවා. Number of documents. BL 3 copies. Then what do you call this? Commercial invoice 2 copies, like that. You can fill, right? So you have to check whether then those numbers are tallying. Present the bill to the buyer for payment or acceptance and release the documents to the buyer when the exporter's instructions have been followed, right? Remit the proceeds to the bill according to the remitting bank's schedule and instructions, right? Okay. Usually less charges. The importer, like the exporter, importer also to make inquiries about the exporter with particular reference to his reliability and trustworthiness, the length of time he has been in business, his good reputation for quality and on-time delivery dates, details of any financial information available on him. All these things you have to check, right? Right. Now, the delivery of financial and commercial documents and the risk involved. There are two types of delivery of financial and commercial documents in documentary collection. What are they? One is DP, other one is DA. One is DP, other one is DA, right? So DP risk, if the importer refuses to pay, the collecting bank acts on the exporter's instructions shown in the remitting bank schedule, right? These could include remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire. ඔයගලන්ගේ තියෙන මට ෆෝම් එක නෑ මේ නැත්නම් මම වෙන්නනවා හදන්න ගියොත් තව පැය භාගයක්වත් ඇයි ඔයගලන්ගේ අර order form එකේ left hand side එකේ මැදින් පල්ලෙහාට එන්න ඇති ටික් කරන්න කොටු වගේක් තියෙනව නේද please tick කියලා right ඒකේ තියෙනවා in case if these people have not accepted the documents also, what you are expecting the bank to do, right? Inform the case of need or protest the bill, right? All those things are there. So as you have been requested by the drawer, you have to take actions. The case of need and the protest part, I'm not going to discuss it now. When we are discussing the articles, we are going to discuss in detail, right? Just keep it in your mind. In case if there's a refusal to pay, those are the remedial actions, right? And BA risk, documents against acceptance. We have already given the documents. They have given the acceptance and they have not paid on the due date due to certain reasons, right? Maybe he finds that the goods are not what he has ordered. So he is pissed off. He said, no, I'm not going to pay this guy, right? He can do no, because he has already cleared the goods and maybe he has already sold the goods, right? But he can create a problem. He has not been able to sell the goods. That also can happen. He is prepared to cheat the exporter. From the day one, he is planning to cheat the exporter, right? In these cases also, the exporter can protest the bill and take the importer to courts, right? But this can be very expensive. Again, the protesting කියන එක අපි banks වල කරන්නේ නැහැ. කරන්න නැහැ කියලා කියන්න බෑ. But it is very expensive, right? The importer might have gone bankrupt, in which case the exporter will probably never get his money. The bank's role and their income in collection, in simple, the bank's role is to handle the collection order as per the instructions of the exporter, right? For that, they will get their fees. Normally, 0.25% of the document value. Or some banks, they take fixed charge, right? So anyway, it's a very good thing. On top of that, they get, apart from the handling charges, when it comes for payment, then they get exchange gain also from the exchange rates. At least they keep 2 rupees per dollar or something, right? So that's That is also good money in dollars, right? The bank's income for the bank accrues in several ways, either foreign exchange profit or commission or handling charges, which I have just mentioned. I asked you to read the articles. How many articles you have gone through? Crystal, how many articles you have gone through?
So this is my first day of class today. So
Huh?
this is my first day of class.
This is your first day.
Yes.
Then you have the URC findable to articles, right? Please go
Okay.
through every day. Now we are late. Avanti, how many articles you have gone through?
Sir, just up to 5 I could have done.
Come on, up to 5. My other class, there was 2 girls who had gone up to Article 15. Yeah, only 5. What about others? Right? We have we have to work hard. At least from now onwards, you have to read 3 articles. But we are going to have an additional class, extra class on, let me say, otherwise we won't be able to complete the syllabus. On 23rd. 23rd is Friday then?
Yes.
Yeah, Friday, no? 23rd is a holiday. I think this is the poet day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
23rd, we are having a class, 1 to 3. Right? I'm planning to discuss the articles with you of, let's see, either to discuss the articles or to start another, but better to discuss the articles so we can finish discussing documentary collection. Okay, so we'll finish documentary collections. I'm going to discuss the articles with you. So everybody, now it's too late for you. I'm sorry for you guys. Please read all 26 articles by Friday. Right? Exam pass and by exam. I told you, no, it's very difficult to pass trade finance. It's very difficult. There were students I told you, no, he has failed in 16 times. 17 time the 16th time passed away. That was the only subject he had, right? He attended my classes once and got through. එතකොට වයස 53ක් වුණා අන්තෙන් අනේස ඇති අන්තම් මම රිටයර් වෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා AIB දාගත්තා. DABF complete කරගත්තා. රිටයර් වෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා. That guy was a senior officer, very senior officer. Right? In the legal department of the bank, a leading bank. What to do? If you don't study, very difficult to get through trade finance. That is why I want to discuss all these articles, right? Now, when you are reading this article 5, describe the presentation as an act of presenting bank making documents available to the drawing. Then article 6, 7, 8, read. I will discuss with you next week because this discussion is very, very important. Don't miss the class. 23rd Friday. Don't miss it, right? So I'm going to finish collection and URC 522 on that day. Right? Ekinda miss karandapa. Eka the class at the end of the without going through the articles. At least you have to read the articles. I gave you the target to read 2 articles per day that you can easily finish in 2 weeks' time. Now it's only 4 days or 5 days' time. Please do at least 5 articles per day. 5 articles per day, you can finish it off. Right? Right. The role of the remitting bank in monitoring and controlling of the collection process. The role of the remitting bank. Now the role of the exporter's bank is to follow up his instructions. To follow the instructions of the exporter and to follow up his actions as a remitting bank, right? Because he has to collect the payment from the importer, right? There is no legal obligation for the bank to check documents. Under collection, there's no legal obligation for the bank to check documents, but it should warn its customer of defects that may cause delays. Right? This is, after all, part of good customer service. Even though we don't have any responsibility or obligations, as a prudent bank, it is up to you to just have a cursory glance and advise your customer. Right? We can avoid a lot of things at the time when they submit the documents. Immediately, if you have informed them, just go through it and say, look, the BL doesn't tally with other documents. Can you please check? Isn't that right? Right? Okay, pudi cursory glance. The collection order. The collection order, now you are having the collection order. So because of that, you can refer, right? Even though I am not showing, you can refer. The collection order. This is to encourage the customer to use the collection order from a collection order form issued by the bank when submitting collection. Of course, I make it a point, and not only me, all the banks in the world, not in the country, in the world, they insist their customers to use the collection order form. Otherwise, we will not entertain any documents. Because if the instructions given is vague or insufficient, then you are responsible. So we don't want to be responsible. And we want to make it simple. If the exporter is going to give a covering letter, this collection order form is the covering letter given by the exporter to the remitting bank. But instead of that, if the exporter is giving a covering letter, he will start writing love letters. In case of rejection, please call so-and-so, who is a good friend of mine. He will look after that. With a friend, in case of rejection, tick karna, contact Mr. Pereira, this is the number, finish. Bank knows what to do, right? And for the exporter to give us his instructions clearly and completely. And also for banks to transfer the instructions to their covering schedule, which they send to the collecting bank. The remitting bank, when they are sending the documents to the collecting bank, they also have to send a bank's covering letter. That covering letter will be filled based on the collection order form instructions you get from the exporter, right? And terms and conditions are printed on the back of the collection order. Terms and conditions are printed on the back of the collection order. And by signing the form, the exporter agrees that they are bound by the provisions of URC 522. Right? The uniform rules for collection. A form එක පිටපස්සේ. ඒ forms මම දීලා තියෙනවා upload කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒක බලන්න collection order form එකේ දෙනවා පිටපස්සේ. The covering schedule, if the documents are in order and instructions complete, the remitting bank will choose what is the best collecting bank, if not specified by the exporter. Sometimes the exporter will specify the collecting bank because when he's dealing with the importer will say, please send the documents to my bank, commercial bank. If they have not mentioned commercial bank, then they have not mentioned any bank, then we choose the best possible bank, right? A branch or correspondent bank in the importer's country. Okay. Attention is drawn to sub-article 5D and 11A of URC 522. Prepares the covering schedule on the basis of the collection order together with the instruction right? Mail the schedule and the bill by registered mail courier to the collecting bank. Right? Diarize a date for chasing the bill if payment or advice of acceptance has not been received. Once you dispatch the documents along with the covering schedule, then you have to diarize for follow-up actions. Nowadays, those days when we started banking, we used to diarize these things. Now we are not diarizing. Now we can get a computer printout. So we can get a printout of bills dispatched 7 days before. Apita follow up කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Then even fully computerized. But anyway, you have to diarize it and keep following it up until you get the money. Right? Okay. Now, there are some more things. I will finish at this point, right? And I will try to complete the presentation and discuss the articles on 20 or the 23rd day.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Any questions up to now? Please ask. That discussion is going to be a very it cannot be one-sided. You have to ask all your questions. When you read, there will be certain gray areas for you. Jot down and ask me the questions. Right? Then that will make me happy. Right? මට බයින තරමට තමයි මම happy. මගෙන් අහන තරමට තමයි මම happy. ඒකෙන්ද චුට්ටක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න පුතේ හොඳට පාඩම් කරන්න. Right. Make a cover connect. Avanti, can you mark this place, right, and remind me on 23rd, Friday, 3 o'clock. Just remind me. This is where we have to start, right? Okay. Okay. Thank you. if you don't have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.